जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरवनचारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा कालचंजी राधा कालचंजी राधे। जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा। जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo. Jai Shri Shri Radha Kalachan Ji ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you so much for coming for morning Bhagavatam class. Today we'll be reading from Canto 10, chapter 2nd, verse 32 and 33. So it's 10.2.32. Narayanam namaskrityam naram shaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now we can also read the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Asadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So let's recite this verse. This is the focus verse as well. Please excuse my throat. Ye anye ravindaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhavada vishuddha buddhaya Aruya krichrena param padam tataha pattantyadhonadritayushmadangraya. One more time. Ye anyaravandaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhavata vishuddha buddhaya Aruya krichrena param padam tataha pattantyadhonadritayushmadangraya. Please recite. Ye anyaravindaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhavada vishuddha buddhaya Aruya krichrena param padam tata pattantyadhonadritayushmadangraya. Ye anye ravindaksh vimukta maninas. Tvayasta bhavada vishuddha buddhaya. Aruya Krishrena parampadam tataha. Patantyadonadritayushmadangraya. Yeyanye ravindaksh vimukta maninas. Tvayasta bhavada vishuddha buddhaya. Aruya Krishrena parampadam tataha. Patantyadonadritayushmadangraya. Anybody else wants to try? Ye anye ravindaksh vimukta maninas. Tvayasta bhavada vishuddha buddhaya. Krishrena. Thank you so much. We'll read word to word translation. We can read this together. Ye anye, anyone or all others. Aravindaksha, or lotus-eyed one. Vimuktamanina, falsely considering themselves free from the bondage of material contamination. Tvai, unto you. Astabhavat, speculating in various ways but not knowing or desiring more information of your lotus feet. Avishuddha Buddhaya, whose intelligence is still not purified and who do not know the goal of life. Aruhya, even though achieving. Krichrena, by undergoing severe austerities, penances, and hard labor. Parampadam, the highest position, according to their imagination and speculation. Tataha, from that position. Patanti, they fall. Adaha, down into material existence again. Anadrita, neglecting devotion to. Yushmat, your. Angraya, lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Someone may say that aside from devotees who always seek shelter at the Lord's lotus feet, there are those who are not devotees but who have accepted different processes for attaining salvation. What happens to them? In answer to this question, Lord Brahma and other demigods said, O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. Would anybody like to read the purport?
Aside from devotees, there are many others, non-devotees, known as karmis, jnanis, and yogis, philanthropists, altruists, politicians, impersonalists, and voidists. There are many varieties of non-devotees who have their respective ways of liberation, but simply because they do not know the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, although they falsely think that they have been liberated and elevated to the highest position, they fall down, as clearly stated by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita.
Dharmasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartamani.
Those who are not faithful on the path of devotional service cannot attain me. O conqueror of foes, but return to birth and death in this material world. It doesn't matter whether one is a karmi, jnani, yogi, philanthropist, politician, or whatever. If one has no love for the lotus feet of the Lord, one falls down. That is the verdict given by Lord Brahma in this verse. There are persons who advocate accepting any process and who say that whatever process one accepts will lead to the same goal. But that is refuted in this verse, where such persons are referred to Vimukta Manina, signifying that although they think they have attained the highest perfection, in fact they have not. In the present day, big politicians all over the world think that by scheming, they can occupy the highest political post, that of president or prime minister. But we actually see that even in this life, such big prime ministers, presidents, and other politicians who are being non-devotees fall down. Patantyadaha. To become president or prime minister is not easy. One must work very hard, Arohya Krishnena, to achieve the post. And even though one may reach his goal, at any moment one may be kicked down by material nature. In human society, there have been many instances in which great exalted politicians have fallen from government and become lost in historical oblivion. The cause of this is Avishuddha Buddhaya. Their intelligence is impure. The Shastra says, Nate Vidu Swarta Gatim Hi Vishnu. One achieves the perfection of life by becoming a devotee of Vishnu, but people do not know this. Therefore, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 12.5, Kleshodhigatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam, persons who do not know ultimately accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead and take to devotional service, but who instead are attached to impersonalism and voidism, must undergo great labor to achieve their goal. Shreyasmitim bhakti mudasyate vibho krishyanti ye kevala bodhalabdhaye.
To achieve understanding, such persons work very hard and undergo severe austerities, but their hard labor and austerities themselves are their only achievement, for they do not actually achieve the real goal of life. Dhruva Maharaj at first wanted to achieve the greatest material kingdom and great material possessions than his father, but when he was actually favored by the Lord, who appeared before him to give him the benediction he desired, Dhruva Maharaj refused it, saying, Swamin kartarto asmi param na yache. Now I am fully satisfied. I do not want any material benediction. Hari Bhakti Sudhoya 728. This is the perfection of life. Yam labdvaya chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata. Bhagavad Gita 622. If one achieves the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, one is fully satisfied and does not need to ask for any material benediction.
It's okay. I can read until. Okay. Yeah, at night we can start.
At night, one can see a lotus.
No one can see.
No one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's there. Up. It's upwards.
At night, no one can see a lotus, for lotuses blossom only during the daytime. Therefore, the word Aravindaksha is significant. One who is not captivated by the lotus eyes or transcendental form of the Supreme Lord is in darkness, exactly like one who cannot see a lotus. One who has not come to the point of seeing the lotus eyes and transcendental form of Shama Sundar is a failure. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Those who are attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in love always see the Lord's lotus eyes and lotus feet, whereas others cannot see the Lord's body and are therefore classified as anadrita yushmad angraha, or neglectful of the Lord's personal form. Those who neglect the Lord's form are surely failures on every path in life. For if one develops even a little love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is liberated without difficulty. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahatobayat. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead recommends in Bhagavad Gita 9:34, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Simply think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer some slight homage to me. Simply by this process, one is guaranteed to return home, back to Godhead, and thus attain the highest perfection. The Lord further affirms in Bhagavad Gita 18:54-55, Brahma Bhutta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyaschashmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God.
Jai. We'll also read the translation for the next verse, 33. Only the translation. O Madhava, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord of the Goddess of Fortune, if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees, for you still protect them. Thus, they fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. It's also a nice purport, but again, we already read a big, long one. So, I would encourage if you all can read this purport later. So, today we're covering text 32 and 33. And we see that Srila Prabhupada has often quoted this verse again and again in his lectures, because he often refuted the arguments of impersonalists, Mayavadis, Jnanis, Karmis. And he often used to quote this particular verse, 32nd. Because the goal of life of karmis, yogis and jnanis would be that they want highest perfection. For them, the highest goal is to achieve liberation, where they are wanting to gain some kind of freedom, be free from everything, or some kind of control that I've gained control within my body, control all my, we talk about Ashtanga Yoga, so I am the controller. And so they develop this sense of superficial, superiority, that I am in the highest position and this is the goal of my life. But Srila Prabhupada mentions clearly that their austerity is the only goal that they end up achieving. There's nothing beyond that, because they have no regard for the love of lotus feet of the Lord. Whereas for a devotee, what is the highest position? What is the supreme goal for a devotee? Being a servant of the Lord. I want to surrender to the Lord. That is the aspiration of pure devotees. Anywhere you ask a devotee who's understood the philosophy, would say, I still cannot depend on Krishna completely. I want to reach that stage. And so service and surrender is the highest goal for a devotee. Now, it's funny, like if you tell this to some non-devotee that my aspiration is to become a servant, it's not something that is looked up on. I mean, they would say, why would you want to become a servant of somebody? But being a servant of Krishna is the most blissful position that you can ever attain in your life. Now, what do we mean by being attracted to the lotus feet? Which means that we want to be attached to the Lord. We want to be completely dependent on the Lord, that this is my only protector. Kalachanji is my only protector. He is my only savior. He's my only friend. And when you look at everybody around you, you look at your day-to-day life, this realization will start hitting you, because you will see that there's no relationship, there is no position, there is no engagement in this world which will actually give you like unlimited love or unlimited protection. But Krishna, through all your lifetimes, has been there. He's there in the form of Paramatma within you. He's there in his personal form in front of your eyes. And that is why devotees do not desire liberation. I mean, this is the worst kind of, it's something we look down upon, that we don't want liberation. Even there comes a stage when you start becoming devotees, and in lectures we hear, okay, Krishna is in Golok Vrindavan Dham, and maybe one day, you'll be out of this world and you'll go there. But as you keep progressing, even that is not our highest goal. Our mood should be that Krishna, wherever you keep me, I completely trust you. But I just want to always serve you. I never want to forget you. That's my only desire. And now, wherever you keep me, I'm fine with it. But I never want to forget you. That is the mood of a pure devotee. And so also when we have darshan of the Lord, it is always advised that you start from his lotus feet. And then you go upwards, and then in the end you see his lotus face smiling. So even Srimad Bhagavatam, it is advised that we start with reading Canto 1, from Canto 1, because that is the lotus feet that is considered as the lotus feet of the Lord. And then we go up, and now that we are on Canto 10, it is actually considered, it is the smiling lotus face of the Lord that we are now reading, Canto 10. So there was Srila Prabhupada, often in his preaching, in his lectures, he would often say, like in this strong purport, he mentioned that even if you become prime minister or president, you can always fall down from your position. And he did quote a lot of presidents. He did say names of presidents in America and in India where they actually fell down from their position because they were caught in some scandal. And this is something which is very common now. We see, right, people now and then, even politicians, no matter what age they reach, like they are in their 70s or 80s, they still don't want to leave that control. They still don't want to leave the position of power. And yes, Prabhu?
So sorry.
It's okay. We can talk about it in the end. You're going to be here till 8:30. We can take the questions in the end.
Oh,
if it's a long one, if it's a small.
No, it's a quick question.
Okay.
Why? I'm new to being here, and so I was just curious. Why is Ashtanga mutually exclusive from Bhakti Yoga? Because in the niyamas, there's Ishvara Pranidhara, right, which is surrendering to the Lord, surrendering to the lotus feet of the Lord. So could it be that when you do these practices, when you practice Ashtanga with bhakti, then it makes sense, right? Because it's a form of purification that allows you to sit in deeper meditation with the Lord. Is that right? Or I'm just curious why there's a separation between the Ashtanga and the...
No, that's a very nice question. Thank you for that. There are different kind of yoga processes that actually we're taught that the real meaning of yoga is union, to unite, to connect with the higher authority. And so there are different yoga processes. it starts with, let's start with, there's a yoga ladder that it's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. It starts with Karm Kand, then it's Jnana Yoga, Ashtang Yoga, Karm Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtang Yoga, and then topmost is Bhakti Yoga. And the reason for that is that, yes, like you said, if you combine it with Bhakti Yoga, then it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because Bhakti Yoga means that it means love, the yoga of love, the becoming devoted to the Lord and surrendering to the Lord. And when you do it with that, then there's nothing wrong. We're not saying don't perform asanas or don't do yoga, Ashtanga yoga, but if we are forgetting the main purpose of not connecting with the Lord, then it's not really doing anything, and it's just, breathing exercise, and you're actually reaching a point where you're being separated from the Lord, and you're thinking you're the controller. But Bhakti Yoga is all about surrendering to the Lord.
So becomes misleading when the yogi starts considering their body more than service.
Exactly, but this
understood.
body is supposed to be an instrument of service
That's right.
for Krishna. Yeah. So
Thank you so much.
It's a nice question. Thank you. And so I was talking about Srila Prabhupada mentioning presidents and prime ministers falling down from their position. And he often quoted when Srila Prabhupada did not print his Bhagavad Gita yet, he was following, I think, Dr. Radhakrishnan's Bhagavad Gita, which he said was 90% okay. The purpose of it were okay, but it did follow a different narrative in certain purpose, like where Krishna directly says that come and surrender unto me. But Dr. Radhakrishna would say that you don't have to surrender to Krishna, but a power inside him, and he would just misinterpret and would mislead the audience, the readers. And that's why Srila Prabhupada did not like that. And then devotees started requesting Srila Prabhupada to read from his own transcripts what was Srila Prabhupada's purport. And Prabhupada was very pleased with that, and he, of course, then it went on that he published his Bhagavad Gita. But later on, at a point when Radhakrishnan had retired from his position of president in India, he was around 83 years old, and he was he was very sick. And His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj had arranged a meeting of Dr. Radhakrishnan with Srila Prabhupada. And when Srila Prabhupada met Radhakrishnan, all the devotees were very intrigued that, how the conversation would go. But Srila Prabhupada only went and told him that, the real meaning of the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, or the real essence, is that you have to surrender to the Lord. That is the whole point. But because he was so sick, Dr. Radhakrishnan, that he was lying on his bed and he couldn't respond. And then Prabhupada and the devotees thought it's better to not bother him now. But as Prabhupada was leaving, Radhakrishnan touched Srila Prabhupada and he just said, please pray to the Lord for me. And then that's all. That was the last thing he said to Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada came back and later on said that he was a good gentleman. Radhakrishnan was a nice gentleman, but because of his misleading interpretations, today he's in a position where he's suffering a lot. He's pretty sick, but it's good that he's going through that before ending his life, and maybe his destination will be good. So my point is that Srila Prabhupada often brought these discussions where he very elaborately explained what should be the mood of a devotee and why we should be really careful of what the jnanis and yogis' goals is. It's so different from what our mood should be. Because we don't want to be free, we don't want to be in control. That's not the whole point, but we just want to be attracted to Krishna and serve Krishna. And that comes when we have developed the quality of being dependent on the Lord. And so we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many pastimes of devotees who have just considered Krishna as their only shelter, and we sing their prayers. So anybody would like to tell me who are these amazing devoted, pure devotees whose prayers we say, we recite or we hear about them, who are completely dependent of the Lord? There are many pastimes. Anybody? Bhishma Dev's prayers. when Bhishma Dev is on his deathbed, which is not very soft, and how, we imagine like people getting all the treatment during their death time, but he's on a bed of arrows. And just before that, like on the battlefield, how did he come on in this stage? Because he was, even though he was fighting against Pandavas, who were being supported by Krishna himself, but he was supporting Kauravas because he was in a different, he was being an instrument of the Lord. He wanted to glorify Krishna. But Krishna also doesn't stop himself from glorifying his devotees. How did Krishna glorify Bhishma Dev? How beautifully has it come? When Bhishma Dev, who cannot be defeated by anybody, thousands of armies would stand in front of Bhishma Dev, and Bhishma Dev can just, be victorious. He can defeat all of them, kill all of them. But why only just in front of Pandavas Bhishma Dev was defeated, or was he lying on the deathbed? Because he was playing a role of a devotee. He is a devotee, and he was being an instrument here. And so we see that he was completely sheltered. He was devoted to Krishna. What other pastimes? Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Kunti Maharani, yes. Gajendra Moksha, yes, the liberation of Gajendra. Vitrasur, yes. So what about these pastimes? What have these devotees done? They have desperately called out to Krishna. Gajendra, Draupadi, did they do any kind of austerities and penances like 12,000 or so many years inside the water, and they are just controlling their breath and just meditating? Did they do all of that? Did they go to a forest or Himalayas and standing on one feet on their toes, just like Hiranyakashipu did? No, they did not do anything like that. But what was that one thing that they did, that Krishna left everything at once and just came to protect his devotee? Because when a devotee thinks that nothing can save me in my life, only except Krishna, there's nothing else that I need to look forward to. When you have that one point of surrender, one point of shelter, then even Krishna leaves everything, and he says that then he rushes to protect his devotee, because he knows that my devotee is not going to go anywhere. He's only dependent upon me, and that's my responsibility. And he leaves everything. He even says in one of the verses that not even Brahma, not even my wife Lakshmi, not even Balaram, or not even my own body is more dear to me than my pure devotee. When Gajendra called out to Krishna, he's in an elephant body. Have you ever seen an elephant speak? Have you ever seen elephant offer a lotus flower? But this was a devotee. And what did Krishna do? The moment Gajendra called out desperately, he remembered the Lord desperately. Krishna left everything. He even reached, so Vishnu, he came in the form of Vishnu. Vishnu, who's the chariot of Vishnu? He's sitting right there, Garuda, right? So Vishnu sits on the back of Garuda. But at that point, he did not even wait for Garuda to come, park his chariot, wait for Vishnu to sit on his back. No, he did nothing like that. Vishnu came before Garuda could reach the destination. Imagine this is the mood that is expected out of us, that we need to rush to Krishna. But Krishna rushes and protects his pure devotees. That is Krishna's mood. Who would want that kind of a headache? Even parents sometimes get tired that, okay, I need a break. I mean, you keep calling me all the time. Let me chant my rounds. Sometimes they'll tell their kids. But Krishna loves that headache. That, you constantly remember me. You can call me at any point in time. 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever time. I am there for you. There is nothing that pleases Krishna more. How sweet is that relationship? So our tapasya is very minimal. There is no austerity that we are doing. I mean, sometimes only we have to do nirjala fasting or, those kind of austerities. But we have to just engage all our senses, our routine life, everything surrounding Krishna. That's the only thing that we have to do. And automatically our consciousness, our mind will be absorbed in Krishna. And so this verse is basically focusing on that if you're a Jnani, Yogi, Karmi, Mayavadi, you can reach the highest position, but still you will fall down. I mean, you will. It's not you may. You will fall down. There will come a point you will fall down. And the next verse is talking about, what was the next verse, 33? That if devotees who are completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees. So the point that is being pushed in this next verse, just the first verse is like Mayavadis and Jnanis, they will fall. Next one is that if by accident a devotee falls down, it is not like they are falling down like non-devotees. They are still saintly. And so in the purport example of Jad Bharat Maharaj is given, where he was completely devoted to the Lord, but then during his Antakal, which means the last, before leaving his body, he was attached to a deer and he was thinking of the deer and he got that body in his next life. But because of the mercy of the Lord, he again became a Brahmana in his next life and, achieved a wonderful destination. So even Prabhupada, we have heard this pastime a lot of times that Srila Prabhupada, when he was, so much amazing preaching was happening, but there were some sannyasis who had fallen down from their position, who left ISKCON. And when Srila Prabhupada was in his, during his last time, one of such sannyasis came back and he met Srila Prabhupada, but he was feeling very ashamed that how will I face Prabhupada, because he was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. But for some reason he had left the movement. But Prabhupada met him and Prabhupada never made him feel conscious of what he did, that, oh, you're so shameful, all of that. Nothing like that Prabhupada said. Prabhupada asked him how he was doing, how was his wife doing, and he was very calm. He was very loving. Even now he was very loving towards the devotee. And there have been times when Srila Prabhupada, somebody very confidentially shared something with Prabhupada and some other devotee had heard and had talked about it, discussed it with other devotees that, this is a sannyasi, but he's having challenges keeping in the movement and all. And when that later on that devotee got to know, he was really upset and he actually left. And Prabhupada was really upset that we really need to especially stop judging devotees of the challenges that they're going through, but also we need to encourage them and support them during their hard time. If we are envious of devotees, we'll feel very happy when we see a devotee suffering. We'll feel like, see, I had judged this person correctly and now this person is suffering. This is his own karma. This devotee is, falling from his path. But that should not make us happy. That's our enviousness that's making us happy, and that's actually going to lead to our downfall. But Prabhupada had always said that you need to encourage devotees. You need to love them. You need to deal with them with cooperation. And that's why Prabhupada said that don't be surprised how many people leave, but be surprised how many stay in the movement, because this is very rare, and it's people are leaving now and then, but we really need to support them so that there can be this connection of love that we have among all the devotees. And there was this one pastime. I think I'll conclude with that, then we can open for questions and answers. This is something you've often heard, but it's something I heard recently, so I just wanted to share that once a pujari went out for book distribution, and he knocked at somebody's door, and the lady opened it, and he just said, he was giving out Bhagavad Gita, and he said that God really loves you, take this Bhagavad Gita, and she took it. And the next day she came to temple looking for that pujari, and she was asking, where is that person who gave me the book? And they asked her, why do you want to meet him? She said that, well, I was actually about to commit suicide. The rope was hanging on the fan. And he just comes in and says, God loves you. And then she said, okay, first of all, when the bell rang, I thought, why do I need to open the door? I'm anyway just quitting everything. I just don't need to. But second or third time, the bell rang. And then she opened it, and the first thing he said was, God loves you. Now, this is not coincident. This is a proof that Krishna really loves you. We have often heard suicide is not something that we should resort to because it's very offensive. Still, till that last point, Krishna was taking care of her and sent somebody to go and, save my devotee, save this child. That's the mood of Krishna. He will never leave you. And then she became a devotee. She was very touched by that incident, and she got Bhagavad Gita, and she came back to temple. She became a devotee, and she understood the philosophy. So the whole point is that through different things, if we open our eyes, that's how we see in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, right? Knowledge of the Absolute, I think, that everything can remind you of Krishna. Like the smell of a rose. What is the essence of a flower? Fragrance. The essence of water is to quench your thirst. Which means that the cause and essence is Krishna. We hear, right? Sarva karana karanam, which means the cause behind everything, the cause of all causes is Krishna. And the essence of everything is Krishna. If water does not quench your thirst, then there's no point of water being there. So my point is that as small as when you're drinking a glass of water, you can remember Krishna. I mean, Prabhupada said to a drunkard, right, like the taste of wine is Krishna, just to make him understand that the pleasure that you're looking for is the most attractive Lord. It's Krishna himself. So if we open our eyes, we'll see everything around us, reminding us of that Krishna loves you. If somebody comes and genuinely just asks you how you're doing, and he's genuinely concerned in you because Krishna, the Paramatma inside him, inspired him to do so. It's not just by mere coincidence. So we'll pause here. If there's anything I missed from the purport or anything that you want to add on or any question, please go ahead. Yes, Mataji. Jeshna, you have the mic?
Hare Krishna, Vrinda. First of all, thank you so much for the class, and many congratulations. It's what a glorious time and what a glorious service. All glories to you. To Prabhu's question, I was thinking when he was saying that why do we separate bhakti and Ashtanga yoga? In Bhagavad Gita, if I remember it right, it says that the yogis come to a stage where he or she can, mostly he, because Ashtanga Yoga, the requirements are for males. So that itself is a difficult thing, that it's not for everybody. Bhakti is for everybody.
Yeah.
So Ashtanga Yoga, there are schools in India where you can go, but only if you're a male. And at one time, you actually start seeing Paramatma. And there are two paths there. You continue seeing or you continue serving. Most of the time, they continue seeing and remain a yogi, and does not become a bhakta. Other thing that Prabhupada promotes and pushes us for, that bhakti is kevalaya bhakta, only ananya bhakti. Bhakti gives you everything. If bhakti gives you everything, why do yoga? Why do anything for that matter? Because bhakti has everything. Like 100 rupees has 10 rupees, 5 rupees, 6 rupees. Why would you say, I will do 5 rupees also, 2 rupees also? 100, you have 100 rupees. Why would you go for anything else? So bhakti has everything in it. It depends, again, when it comes to practicality, it depends how surrender we are. Do we need this? Do we need that to become a better devotee? That is different. But theoretically and from seeing from a pure devotee's point of view, for them, bhakti is the only thing that can give everything. That's why it's called kevalaya bhakta or ananya bhakti. Bhakti by itself is complete. It doesn't need any more supports to make it even better. Bhakti is the best at it, by itself. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's very helpful. We have a question at the back. Manjari Mataji. Yeah. But this is so nice, like Bhakti Yoga is for all, like Mataji said. For Ashtanga Yoga, probably you need to be an abled body, or you need to be, very fit and maybe control all those things. But Bhakti Yoga, no matter what age, what caste, what birth, what gender, what race, anything, anybody can do Bhakti. So even there are pastimes where they say, right, that in the mind you thought of an activity and Krishna just accepted it. Not doesn't mean that we don't physically do any service, but yeah, wonderful points. Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you for class.
Hare Krishna.
Your class and today's focus verse reminded me of the pastime from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, because today's focus verse is talking about non-devotees who perform austerities, yet it's really useless if you're not doing that with devotion. And so I was thinking of the pastime in Chaitanya Bhagavat of the milk-drinking brahmachari, who was it? Did he go to Srivas or Srinivas? Srivas. But he had heard Lord Chaitanya, who he knows God himself, was doing these nightly kirtans, and he really wanted to see. And eventually Srivas agreed. But Mahaprabhu in the kirtan, he just felt like the mood is off. I'm not in ecstasy today. I'm not flooded by prem. What's going on? And Srivas had to admit, well, there is someone else here. But he's a great guy. He's never sinned at all. He's so austere. He only lives off milk. And Mahaprabhu, he said, no. He said, who can attain me by drinking milk? If you're a chandala, you are mine. And he says, if you're a sannyasi, but you're not surrendered to me, it means nothing to me. And then he says something that you said. He says how, what austerities did Gajendra, the cowherd boys, the monkeys of Vrindavan do to attain me?
Yeah.
So it's simply surrender that gives us that access that has any meaning at all.
Chai. Amazing. Thank you. I think yesterday only Gokulan Prabhu brought this point, right? Like in Dharma Prabhu's class, the austerity that we are doing. Like imagine sitting with Krishna like cowherd boys and eating food, enjoying with him. That's the only austerity that they are doing, that they're just enjoying with Krishna. Yes.
Mataji, can you elaborate on when we say pure devotee, what is meant by the word pure? Is it, when we say pure, is it at the level of acharya, or pure means transparent, like completely surrendered in that regard? That I'm not at the level of an acharya, but I have a tremendous love for Krishna. Does that make me just a devotee or a pure devotee?
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be at the level of only acharya, but please correct me if I'm wrong or add on your points. But purity in devotee would mean that anya abhilashita, like I have no any other desire or any other shelter than Krishna. My devotion is undeviated and unmotivated. It's uninterrupted, which means that it's not out of any thing that I'm seeking out of Krishna, that I'm only worshipping you because I want good husband, I want good children, or I want a nice job. There is no other material desire within me. But I'm not saying that we have to eliminate all desires and then only we reach the stage of purity, but just approaching Krishna with pure intention and honesty and sincerity, that I have, this is all I know. This is. I still have some desires, but Krishna, what I've heard is that I want to be completely surrendered to you, and that should be the highest mood. So eventually, we reach to a point where there is no other material desires that are left within us, and but anybody wants to add what? Yeah, only shelter is Krishna. That's purity. It's not like I'm also going to demigods. On Tuesdays I go to other temple, Wednesday I go somewhere else, and then Sunday I have time, so I come for Sunday feast to ISKCON Dallas. But what it means is that I have no other shelter. My only shelter should be the Lord. I'm not seeking like, okay, my husband will protect me or somebody else will protect me. But at the end, if somebody's also protecting me, they are doing it by the will of Krishna. They're instruments in my life. So when I see that the sole protector in my life is Krishna, so that should be the idea. And we can develop that mood only through scriptures. or having a spiritual master, a guru who can guide us. This is not something that will randomly come to us, but we have to constantly hear the scriptures, and we'll see that for devotees there's just one shelter, and then eventually we'll also imbibe that mood. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu, we can pass the mic here.
What does it mean that devotees fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents?
I think even I read that, and I think that's in 33rd verse, right? I think what it means is that the whole sentence is, thus these fearlessly traverse the heads of the opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. Just that if you're steady in your devotional service and traverse the heads of the opponents, not literally, but maybe that the other non-devotees or the other people who are following other yoga processes may keep opposing you or may have their own different philosophies, but even if you're fallen down as a devotee in your position, you will still continue to be probably more purer than them, or more steadier in your spiritual life than them, because you have understood the philosophy. So I think that's what it means, because this is in context to that verse where it says that if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path, they do not fall like non-devotees. So that's the idea. Yes, Mataji. Can we pass the mic to Prabhupada Priya Mataji?
Hare Krishna. In the purport to the text 33, Prabhupada talks about what that means, traversing the heads, traversing, what is it?
Traversing, they fearlessly traverse the heads of the opponents.
Yeah, so he gives it a few examples, and one of them is deprogrammers. Yeah, so he said that, back in the 70s, these deprogrammers instituted a strong legal case against the devotees. And he was thinking it was going to be a whole ordeal. It was going to take years to finish. And then Prabhupada said they settled the court case and they won the court case in one day.
One day, yeah.
So that's one example. And then he gives some examples from like Chitraketu. He was cursed. Marj Bharat, he got attached to the deer. So all these situations in which sometimes devotees do have some problems, some little hiccups in their bhakti, but they always come back. We see that devotees who have practiced, so many, Prabhupada disciples that started practicing, did significant service for ISKCON, and then they left. So, maybe they're gone for some decades, but they come back.
Yeah.
A short time, long time, maybe next lifetime, but they come back, because Krishna's taking care of them. They just there's like a safety. Krishna has a transcendental safety net, so when they fall down, they don't hit the floor and go splat. They kind of land on the safety net. They're okay, and they bounce back up sooner or later. So yeah, I had a thought also in relation to this. Prabhupada talks about how the karmis, jnanis, yogis, they think themselves liberated, but they fall down because they don't have the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. So the thing is that we've come to this material world because we have this desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, right? To be the enjoyers, to be the controllers. And so it's hard to take to bhakti when you have this controlling propensity, because it's all about surrendering and being the servant and depending on someone else, right? Letting Krishna take control. Understanding that Krishna is the enjoyer and I'm his servant. So we really need to give up these propensities, and that's what makes it difficult. So Krishna's like, okay, he gives these other yoga processes that are kind of steps towards bhakti. So if somebody's really attached to being the controller, then they're going to be attracted to Ashtanga Yoga, because it's all about control, right? Control the senses, control the mind, control the breathing. And then they feel like, okay, I'm doing something, it's basically a way of dovetailing the controlling propensity, purifying it, and then connecting it to Krishna, and gradually coming to bhakti, relinquishing that controlling propensity. And then if someone has a strong enjoying propensity, it's like, okay, do your karma yoga, earn money, have your situation, enjoy your social position and all the respectability that comes from, your varnashram things. And, but just connect, just give some donation to the temple, just some, connect, do something, connect it to me. And then gradually you get purified of this enjoying propensity, that you're the person. So, Janivasprabhu was giving class one time in Mayapur because someone asked the question, well, bhakti is the highest process. It's like the supreme goal of life. But it seems like these other processes are difficult and bhakti is very easy. I said, no, bhakti is not easy. It looks easy. The practices are simple. But what you need to let go of, that's the hard part, is giving up this controlling and enjoying propensity and just accepting that Krishna is a supreme enjoyer. My existence is to support his enjoyment. And Krishna is the supreme controller. My position is just to, let myself be moved about on his chessboard as his servant. So those are difficult to let go of. But ultimately, that's who we are. We're not the controllers. We're not the enjoyers. It's just not who we are. So the more we try to push that, the more we're going to fail. And that's why Prabhupada's saying that these other paths, they just end up, it's just like 100% failure. Because even if they do, achieve some position, they're going to fall down because it's all based on Maya. It's all based on misconceptions. Your position is based on I'm the controller and I achieve success by controlling. It's like, no, it's based on a false premise.
Yeah.
Right? So like that.
Yeah, I mean, bhakti may look simple externally, but internally it's all about the hard knots that we have to let go, like I'm the controller, like you pointed out. And other processes don't even focus on that. They focus on letting go externally, but not internally, about the position and the ego and false ego, like that. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Mataji.
I feel like after listening to Prabhupada Priya, I feel like I've learned something. And it kind of reminded me, like, when yogis try to go through this process, like of Ashtanga, they do fail. And I think maybe that is the point of it, to realize, well, you can't do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, to reach the highest levels of Ashtanga, the ones that had siddhis that they got from past lives, they're able to do it. But you're right, they fall. They do fall. And I guess, so then the whole enlightenment of that journey is like, you cannot do this without Krishna.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
She wants to add something.
But at the same time, these processes are not, like you said, they're not mutually exclusive, right? We recognize that these are different processes. They're like inferior processes. But it's not that we don't reject them. That's the beautiful thing about bhakti, is that we don't reject other things, but we just see how they can be used in Krishna's service. So there are some devotees, there's some pure devotees in our movement who, before they start their japa, they do a little pranayam just to, steady the mind, be in a peaceful mental state so that they can focus more on their japa, right? Or devotees do some, physical yoga asanas to, for the sake of health, and so that they can use their bodies to serve Krishna, right? So when the goal is Krishna's pleasure, then everything becomes favorable and aligned and perfect. So we don't say, oh, that's despicable, we're not going to even think about those things, but we're just like, okay, there's some useful things there. These are also some Vedic processes. To the extent that they're favorable for our service to Krishna, we can use them. But we know that that's not the goal. The goal is to love Krishna, to serve Krishna.
Sure. Thank you for the wonderful discussion. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.